Indian Constitution, Press Information Bureau. "75 Facts". The Indian Constitution is the cornerstone of India's democracy, shaping the nation as a sovereign, secular, and inclusive republic. Adopted on the 26th November 1949, it reflects the aspirations of a newly independent nation, ensuring justice, equality, liberty, equality, and fraternity to all. The Constitution was crafted by the Constituent Assembly formed on December 6, 1946 to represent the nation's diverse voices, drawing inspiration from global frameworks while addressing India's unique needs. It became the lengthiest and most detailed constitution in the world, uniting a vast population and safeguarding the rights of every citizen. This e-book celebrates 75 years of this remarkable document by presenting 75 facts that illuminate its origin, principles, and ongoing relevance. Each fact offers insights into the legacy of a constitution that continues to guide and inspire the world's largest democracy. Assembly composition. The Constituent Assembly was initially composed of 389 members. 292 members were elected through the provisional legislative assemblies. 93 represented the Indian princely states and 4 represented the chief commissioner provinces. Members were chosen by indirect election as per the cabinet mission's recommendation. The Constituent Assembly held its first session on 9th December 1946 in the Constitution Hall of the Parliament House known as Samvidhan Sadan. Dr. Sachidananda Simha presided as the interim president during this inaugural meeting. On December 11, 1946, Dr. Rajendra Prasad was appointed as the permanent president of the Constituent Assembly. Post-partition changes. The Mountbatten Plan of 3rd June 1947 led to the creation of a separate Constituent Assembly for Pakistan. Representatives from some provinces ceased to be the part of the assembly after partition. The assembly's membership was subsequently reduced to 299. Seats and nominations. Dr. B.R. Ambedkar initially contested the Constituent Assembly seat from Bombay Presidency but lost. He was then elected to the Assembly from Bengal but lost his seat after partition. However, Congress party later nominated him from Mumbai Presidency. Out of the 299 members of the Assembly, 229 were elected from 12 Indian provinces and 70 were nominated from 29 princely states. Women pioneers. Women pioneers. The Constituent Assembly included 15 women members. Notable women members included Sarojini Naidu, Rajkumari Amrit Kaur, and Sucheta Kriplani. These women advocated for equal rights during a time when women had limited rights globally. First proceedings. On December 9, 1946, the session began with singing of Vande Mataram symbolizing India's struggle for freedom and unity. Acharya Kripalani delivered the inaugural address, welcoming the members and emphasizing the importance of unity amidst diversity. The first day concluded with all 207 members present submitting their credentials and signing the register. Flag adoption. The national flag of India was adopted in its present form on 22nd July 1947 by the Constituent Assembly. It served as the flag of the Dominion of India from 15th August to 26th January 1950 and of the Republic of India thereafter. The chapter symbolizes strength, white denotes peace with the Dharma Chakra, and the green signifies fertility and growth. On the night of August 14, 1947, the Constituent Assembly convened in the Constitution Hall. The Assembly transitioned to become the Legislative Assembly of Independent India at midnight. This shift marked the final steps of colonial rule and India's independence. Key committees. Rajendra Prasad chaired several key committees, including those on rules of procedure, steering, finance and staff, and the national flag. Alladi Krishnaswamy Iyer led the Credential Committee, while B. Pattabi Sitaramaya chaired the House Committee. K. M. Munshi headed the Order of Business Committee and G. V. Maulankar led the Committee on the Functions of the Constituent Assembly. Dr. Ambedkar's vision. The drafting committee chaired by Dr. B. R. Ambedkar was the most important committee of the Constituent Assembly. Dr. B. R. Ambedkar introduced the final draft of the Constitution to the Constituent Assembly on 4th November 1948 for the first reading. The Assembly held a general discussion on the draft for 5 days, concluding on November 9, 1948. Drafting Committee. The Drafting Committee was elected on 29 August 1947. The committee worked for 141 days to prepare the draft constitution. The draft constitution initially contained 315 articles and 8 schedules before deliberations. The Assembly spent 165 days in deliberation on the draft constitution. Of these 165 days, 114 were specifically devoted to discussing the draft constitution. A total of 7,635 amendments were proposed to the draft constitution. Finalized document. Out of the 7,635 proposed amendments to the draft constitution, 2,473 were moved for consideration by the Constituent Assembly. The final constitution included 395 articles divided into 22 parts and 8 schedules. At the time of its adoption, it was the world's lengthiest written constitution. Final session. The Constituent Assembly held its final meeting on 24 January 1950. On this day, 284 members signed the constitution and Janagana Mana was officially declared India's national anthem. During the session, Dr. Rajendra Prasad was named the first President of India. Constitutional Journey. The Constitution Assembly took 2 years, 11 months and 17 days to draft the Constitution of Independent India. The Assembly held a total of 11 sessions during the drafting period. Over 53,000 visitors observed the Constitution's deliberation from the visitors gallery during this period. Key date. The Constitution of India was adopted on 26 November 1949. It came into force on January 26, 1950. January 26, 1950 is celebrated as Republic Day in India, marking the country's transition to a republic. The Government of India Act of 1935 influenced the federal scheme, office of governor and judiciary provision in the Indian Constitution. The US Constitution inspired fundamental rights, judicial review and impeachment procedures for the President. The Irish Constitution contributed to directive principles of state policy and the method of electing the President. Gandhian ideals. Gandhian ideals influenced the Constitution, aiming to promote cottage industries in rural areas through individual or cooperative efforts. Provisions were made to prohibit the consumption of intoxication, reflecting Mahatma Gandhi's vision. These principles were incorporated as directive principles guiding future government policies to align with Gandhiji's vision for a better society. Social equality. Article 17 abolishes untouchability and forbids its practice in any form, making it punishable by law. Article 18(1) prohibits the conferring of titles except for military or academic distinction, ending the feudal system. The Constitution ensures positive discrimination for scheduled tribes and scheduled castes to promote social, economic and political inclusion. Handwritten masterpiece. The Constitution of India has handwritten and calligraphically crafted in both English and Hindi, consisting of 90,000 words. Prem Bihari Narayan Raijada undertook the calligraphy of the original Indian English version. He began the calligraphy on 28 November 1949 and completed it by late April 1950 on handmade Melbourne loan paper. Historical illustrations. Nandalal Bose, the celebrated artist from Shantiniketan, decorated the calligraphic sheets. His art included 22 illustrations in the miniature style. These illustrations depicted important moments in the Indian history from the Indus Valley to the freedom movement. Coding history. The original copies of the Constitution of India are preserved in the helium-filled cases. These cases are stored in the library of the Parliament of India. This preservation ensures the longevity of the original document for future generations. Preserving legacy. On 26 January 1950, the Parliament Secretariat took over the responsibility of preserving the original Constitution. In 1955, the Survey of India, Dehradun, produced 1,000 offset printed copies of the original Constitution. The production of these copies took 12 years of meticulous effort. New Dawn. On January 26, 1950, India transitioned from a dominant to a republic. The new republic replaced the Government of India Act 1935. The constitution came into force, signifying India's complete independence from British rule. Democratic beginning. India's first general elections were held between 25th October 1951 and 21st February 1952. These elections were conducted under the provisions of the newly adopted constitution. The elections marked the first exercise of the democratic system established by the constitution.